Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Hakuoki Zuisoroku. Today we're starting on Yamazaki's extras here. And he might only be 2 videos like Sanan was, depends on the length of his scenes. We shall see. As usual, we're going to have to start with Shinsengumi Adventures Part 1. And we'll skip all the stuff we always do, but I will show you the choices to be made. So you can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. So, for the whole thing with the cat, we have to choose to catch the cat. Then this time, I must make the child laugh again. And this time, we report the situation, which is what gets us our action with Yamazaki. I think we should report what's going on to Hijikata. I mean, we might get in trouble now, but if we don't tell him and he finds out about it later, it'll be even worse. I didn't feel like it was my place to make any sort of decision about this, but I told him what I thought. Okita's face changed faster than I could blink. A chill ran up my spine. The look he gave me was sharp and cold. Jeez, man.
Chizuru, you don't seriously think that, do you?
Huh?
If it never reaches his ears, then he won't get mad. Simple as that.
But what if it does?
The decision to go forward with this plan wasn't just mine. You do this and you're selling us out. Hell, Heisuke's in there right now, sacrificing himself to cover for us.
Sacrificing himself?
I make it sound like he's, giving his life to save everybody else.
He was obviously irritated. No, it was more than that. His eyes narrowed, his tone sharp. He looked incredibly fierce. Never before had I seen him look this intimidating, and it was a sight that shook me down to my bones. I'm sorry.
Don't take your anger out on her. I believe her argument is valid.
He took one step forward and subtly placed himself in front of me in a casually protective stance. Thank you, Yamazaki.
Know that I'm going to report the situation regarding the cat to the commander. And I will take her as well.
What? Before I knew what he was doing, Yamazaki grabbed one of my hands and walked off. I had no idea what was going on, but the insistent pull on my hand had me keeping up with him. What do you mean you have no idea what was going on? He just said he's going to take you with him to report to Hijikata. I expected to be brought in front of Hijikata and the others, but we ended up at my room instead. Was he bluffing? I couldn't understand why. Yamazaki seemed to be the type to prioritize his mission above everything else. Weren't you going to tell Hijikata about the cat?
I have no reason to take you to the common room as well.
The matter-of-fact tone and serious expression he wore made it seem like he was just stating the obvious.
I understand that you find yourself in a delicate position right now. If it is determined that you're involved in this mess, that's going to be a mark against you to the commander. I'm going to break the situation to them the best way possible. Please don't worry about the outcome. It'll be fine.
Yamazaki. I was stunned. He didn't say it, but I was sure he was going out of his way for me. His consideration was unexpected. He looked so intimidating and unapproachable, but perhaps the serious exterior hid the kind man he really was.
As a member of the Watch, I cannot trust you. It is part of my job.
I understand. His words sounded like a rebuff, but somehow I could tell there was no ill intent behind them. He was simply speaking the truth.
However, I have no plans to become your enemy either.
Well, that's good to hear.
I assure you I will never slack off at my job. I will always do my duties as one of the Watch.
He drew himself up straight and bowed deeply to me.
Please continue aiding the Shinsengumi in their search for Koto.
Yamazaki, thank you so much. I'll do my best as well. His sincerity was clear. A warm feeling rose in my chest. I realized that I was happy. He glanced away from me and murmured in a voice so quiet I could barely hear.
I am sorry that you were dragged into such a ridiculous situation.
Almost before he finished speaking, he turned his back to me and left the room. People on the streets always said the Shinsengumi is full of frightening people, but Yamazaki... I believe he's a good man. A lot of these guys are good men. Skilled and capable men like him were doing their best to maintain the peace and search for my father. Just knowing that gave me hope toward the days to come. I was inspired to also do all I could to help find my father, starting tomorrow. Why not starting now? No time like the present, tomorrow never comes. That's what my mom always says. Alright, well, that was even shorter than Sanan's first one, so let's see what's next in line for Yamazaki. Yamazaki in Days Past 1. Here we come. September 1865. The protagonist spots Yamazaki, one of Hijikata's direct subordinates, in Okita's room. Uh-oh. He claims to be cleaning, so she offers to help, but ends up promising to take care of Okita should anything happen to Yamazaki. Oh, that's right, they had that grudging friendship.
If word of his illness were to get out, it would be detrimental to the Shinsengumi.
When I overheard what was going on with Okita, Yamazaki's voice sternly admonished me to keep the information to myself. What he said made sense. The most logical thing to do to maintain morale and public opinion was to keep it a secret. I wasn't sure it was the best thing to do, though. My feelings were a tumultuous mess. But it was clear that the opinion of someone in my position, an outsider, was not needed. I simply nodded in acquiescence. What else could I do? Definitely wouldn't have turned out well if I tried to say anything. June 1865. It hadn't been long since the Shinsengumi relocated their headquarters. Dr. Ryojun Matsumoto, a friend of my father, came by the Nishihongonji temple to have all the men go through a physical examination. When I spoke to him afterward, he told me that the real reason for his visit was to see me. Kondo had contacted him on my behalf as a kind gesture. Apparently, he wanted to do something nice for me. 'Cause I'm always looking sad, so all the guys in the Shinsengumi want to do something nice for me because I always look sad. Matsumoto didn't know where my father was either, but he promised to continue looking and to notify me as soon as he learned something. Unfortunately, the routine physical examination of the men revealed that one of the members had unexpectedly fallen ill to a horrible fatal disease. Okita had tuberculosis. September 1865. There had been no word on my father's whereabouts. Okita's condition hadn't changed either, and the days passed one after another, each the same as the one before. Late summer brought about a particular incident that broke the monotony. Involving a certain young man. In Days Past, Part 1. September 1865. It's so hot. Summers in Kyoto were more humid than back in Edo. The stagnant air left you feeling sticky, and sweat pooled. Oh, it sounds awful. Even so, all the captains were dutifully performing their appointed tasks. I thought I saw Nagakura and Harada training in the practice room earlier. And Inoue just headed out to town on some errands. That meant the only one left in the quarters reserved for the leaders was me. Well, since no one's around, I suppose I could clean the floor. Or maybe I can finally fix my torn kimono. You can do that anytime, I would imagine. While I was considering what to do with my free time that afternoon. Huh? I sensed someone passing through the hallway just outside my room. Perhaps Inoue had returned from his trip. I got up and slid my door open, intending to go ask him if he needed any help. I looked down the hallway, and it wasn't Inoue. Somebody younger. Oh, Yamazaki? He was one of the few people outside of the captains who knew my entire situation. As a member of the watch, he received orders directly from Hijikata to obtain intel on a large number of people and organizations around the city. I wonder if he's going to report to Hijikata. Just as I said that, Yamazaki turned away from the direction the commander's room was located. I didn't know what his business in the wings was, but I felt I had to tell him that everyone was out at the moment. Suddenly, I realized his movements looked a little furtive, as if he was trying to sneak around for some reason. Well, I'm not doing a good job if Chizuru noticed him. I began to feel a little concerned. Maybe something bad had happened, so before I knew it, I found myself following him. He stopped in front of a specific room, glancing around to verify there was no one else in the area, and silently slid the door open. Wait, that's Okita's room. Seeing him, I suddenly remembered what Yamazaki's official job was. In addition to scouring the city for information, he had to monitor the movements of the members of the Shinsengumi and report back to Hijikata. So he's also internal investigations. Maybe I had a horrible feeling I wasn't supposed to have witnessed him going into Okita's room. I froze in place, uncertain as to if I should leave the area quickly.
Probably should have, but sounds like it's too late.
Ah! What? How'd you get out here? I thought we just saw you go into Okita's room. I nearly shrieked when he popped out of the room in front of me, frowning.
Why were you following me? Were you trying to do something?
What, like assassinate you? Jump scare you?
Calm down. There's no need to be frightened.
You're not going to kill me? But, how did he? Why aren't you surprised to see me? I mean, I wasn't making a sound and you appeared out of nowhere.
I had a feeling it was you. The footsteps were hesitant.
So he did know I was there in the first place. I like that smile. I don't think I've ever seen him smile quite like that before. What? How could you?
I sensed your presence approaching. I could feel no ill intent. And because you clearly had no reason to follow after me, your movements were full of hesitation.
I was stunned. He had analyzed all that just from hearing my footsteps. The watch was indeed incredibly skilled.
I'd considered the best time of day to do this unnoticed, and concluded this was the most likely.
Apparently there is no ideal time.
Seems I miscalculated, and now you're an unexpected witness.
I can keep my mouth shut, I promise. Well, I only saw you step inside this room.
It was enough. Luckily, this way I can have you assist me as well.
Ah, so make me an accomplice, and, that solves everything. What? Before I realized what he was doing, he grabbed my arm and pulled me inside. Are you sure this is all right? I don't know if I should be in here. No, I shouldn't. But neither should he.
This is a confidential matter, so you can't mention this to anyone.
What? Maybe he was in the middle of some sort of background check on Okita, as part of his responsibilities as a member of the watch. If that was true, then I definitely stuck my nose in where it didn't belong. Well, too late now. I'm sorry. I promise I won't tell anyone. I hurried to convince him I was sincerely apologetic, rushing a quick bow in his direction. He gave a heavy sigh.
I told you there was no reason to be anxious. I'll explain so you aren't confused. Please listen closely.
Right.
Dr. Matsumoto asked me to go through and clean this room.
Clean? My body sagged with sudden and overwhelming relief, and probably kind of slightly disappointment maybe. That was all he was doing? Yamazaki's serious expression did not change, however.
Only a few of the leaders would understand why it must be done. You know about Okita's illness, right?
Yes. It was true. I had overheard Okita and Matsumoto discussing his condition. Tuberculosis, a disease that infected the lungs that had no cure. The most common form of treatment for those diagnosed was to move them to a place with clean air in an effort to alleviate their condition. But Okita was a vital, irreplaceable member of the Shinsengumi, not to mention the fact that he himself stubbornly refused to leave his fellow warriors. It made sense that Matsumoto would deem it important to keep his living space as hygienic as possible.
We can't allow him to clean his own room, as the resulting dust would most likely aggravate his condition. Unfortunately, for some reason Okita is adamant that no one should clean it for him.
So we have to do it stealthily. We have to ninja clean his room.
Hence, why I'm here while he's out. So be sure not to mention this to anyone.
Okay. I understand now, but he obviously had to keep his actions secret from Okita, and it was advantageous to Okita's health to have it done, but would it truly be okay to do this when he clearly doesn't want it? It's for his own health, Yukimura. Screw what he wants. I don't think it's not that he doesn't want someone to do the work for him, but more that he doesn't want other people to see the inside. Yamazaki's eyes widened, and his head snapped around to look at me. The words tumbled out of his mouth.
Don't misunderstand. I simply want to air out the room. I never had any intention of sneaking a peek into his personal items.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I had never seen him so flustered. Regretting my words immediately, I did my best to backtrack. Oh, I wasn't doubting you, Yamazaki. It had never crossed my mind that you had other reasons to enter his room while he was out. Some men are just intensely private. I've had a couple boyfriends where it's just like, They're really, really private for no reason. Yamazaki? He frowned, his expression troubled. Perhaps a change in subject was in order. I thought for a moment. I was wondering, why did Dr. Matsumoto ask you in particular? Did I ask something inappropriate? The air was heavy with an awkward silence I was pretty sure I was the cause of, and I wanted to kick myself for making him feel uncomfortable. But finally...
My family business is needles and herbal remedies. It's different from what your father practices. It's East Asian.
Oh, really? He shrugged, his voice light and indifferent.
Due to that in my background, Chief and the Commander agreed that Matsumoto and I should be in charge of medical care of the Shinsengumi.
Oh, I had no idea that Yamazaki was involved in the medical care of the Shinsengumi.
But the most I can do is simple first aid and hygiene care. But they've given me official orders to keep an eye on Okita.
I appreciate you telling me all of this, Yamazaki. Thank you. Now I understood the reason he had hesitated. I bowed deeply in gratitude. Seeing that I wasn't a member of the Shinsengumi, he didn't have to tell me anything about himself, but he did. He was gambling with the risk of getting in trouble if someone found out that I knew the details, and still he explained it all to me. I promise I won't share anything you just told me. So, when you said I could help you earlier, you meant with the cleaning? Then it shouldn't be a problem. I'm good at things like that. I'll do my best to help out.
Yeah, thanks.
His lips curled up in a smile when I clapped my hands together enthusiastically. My heart warmed, and suddenly I was even more eager to do something for him. We could do this. Yamazaki and I set about dusting and cleaning the room with quiet efficiency. Before too long, we managed to finish roughly half of what needed to be aired out. Huh? Lifting up Okita's pillow, I found a small bound book. Don't snoop, Chizuru!
Hyogoku Haiku Collection. Oh no! This is probably Hijikata's, isn't it? Wait, he stole this from Hijikata. Yup! Hyogoku Haiku Collection. A collection of poetry written by Hijikata under the pen name Hogyoku. He stole it from him.
His face paled, and I heard him swallow loudly.
So this is why he didn't want people in his room?
Yamazaki, does that mean you know what this is? His gaze shot over to me, the lines in his face hard. He looked deadly serious.
Yes. Hogyoku is the name the commander writes under. So...
That means... This is a compilation of Hijikata's haiku?
Word among the men is that Commander Hijikata refuses to show anyone his collection. This being here means Okita must have taken it discreetly, without Hijikata's approval.
Oh no! It looked like I uncovered something I wasn't supposed to. What should we do?
Oh no! What do we do? Okay, we leave it be.
Because we can't be discovered for this. Leave everything at the... I wonder if Okita's gonna notice that his room was cleaned. I feel like we should pretend we didn't see this. Yamazaki looked at me with surprise, his eyebrows raising. I doggedly continued. I mean, this is Okita's problem, right? He had to have known what he was doing. So it's probably best that we don't interfere. Maybe it's possible that he intends to return it himself sometime soon.
It doesn't help the fact that he took it in the first place.
It was a matter between Okita and Hijikata. If either myself or Yamazaki, two people not involved, interfered, it would appear as meddling. He'll know we were in his room if we take the book with us too. You wanted to make sure he didn't find out.
It's a difficult decision, especially considering Hijikata's feelings regarding that collection.
After a moment, he sighed deeply and shrugged. He flashed me a wry smile.
You're right, Yukimura. Let's focus on our task.
Okay. Lifting the pillow again, I carefully returned the book where I found it. I never did find out if anything happened afterward between Okita and Hijikata. Okita must have somehow managed to put the book back into place without getting caught. It must have resolved peacefully, as rumors would have surfaced otherwise. I don't know, maybe it just happened later. We continued our cleaning spree and finished without much trouble. Okita kept his room tidy and made sure to take care of his belongings, so we didn't have to do a lot.
Thanks for all your help today. If it's all right, would you be willing to continue assisting me with this from now on?
He spoke almost as if he was giving an order. It seemed he wished to make it an official request. My palms were sweaty, but I nodded. I can't do much, but if I can be useful in some way, I'd love to help. He locked eyes with me, his expression deadly serious. Why'd you have to get serious?
I expect I will be away from headquarters more often now, with both my mission and as a member of the Watch, and my need to learn from Dr. Matsumoto taking up all my time. If you notice anything at all, if something's off with Okita, could you check on him?
That was easy enough. I'd be glad to do it. I opened my mouth to answer.
And, if anything should happen to me, I want you to care for him in my place.
Aww. Why'd you have to get mad about it? What?
It has to be you. You're aware of his condition, and you're the only one with the background in medicine.
He looked at me, and I could feel how important this was to him. But I had to shake my head. This job isn't something you can easily ask someone to take on, is it? If there comes a time when there's no one else, I suppose I would be the best option. But we have you, Yamazaki. I caught his eye and refused to look away. I tried to speak as firmly as I could. You are the one who is best fit for the position. I don't want to hear you talk as if you won't return. Just make sure you will. I will definitely help you out as much as you need. He absorbed my words, and it took a few moments before the serious expression on his face brightened.
I think I didn't have the motivation, nor emotional strength to take on this mission. I will do my utmost to fulfill it.
He pulled what looked like a thick notebook from one of his pockets. Ah, picture! What is that?
I try to keep an eye on not just Okita, but all vermin who are sick or wounded, and their changing conditions. Dr. Matsumoto sends me instructions, and I keep track of all the treatments I should do in here.
Did you come up with this yourself?
Well, most of it is based off the data from Matsumoto's examinations. I just compiled it.
He put no particular emphasis on the process, but I knew it was a lot of work to put a list like that together. It was clear that he cared a great deal about everyone in the Shinsengumi. He watched over them even when they didn't realize it.
So refer to this if something occurs while I'm gone, and perform the appropriate treatment. I will explain our agreement to the chief and the commander.
Oh. The way he spoke made it sound like he had every intention of returning. I was happy. Okay, I can only do a little, but I'll try my best. Yamazaki's skills and abilities dwarfed my own, but I wanted to offer what aid I could in hopes that I would be able to help. He handed me his compiled notes, and I held them carefully. When he spoke, his voice was quiet.
I wish to continue supporting all the Shinsengumi from the shadows. It would make me happy if you would help me do so.
Yes, of course. I saw a ghost of a smile appear on his face.
That is very reassuring. Thank you, truly.
If I did my utmost to perform the tasks I can do to the best of my ability, that was all Yamazaki needed from me to be happy. The fact that I could help somehow, it felt good. So it seemed that Yamazaki was the Shinsengumi's stand-in doctor, quietly taking care of them, even when they didn't realize it. To increase his knowledge, he studied under Matsumoto and would travel with Kondo to the western part of Japan. His multiple tasks kept him busy and away from the headquarters, so I would often help him keep an eye on things. Man, he was a busy guy. He did a lot of things for the Shinsengumi, apparently. Well, I don't know about in real life, but in this story. And his days past scene was way longer than I anticipated, but, I mean, still not too long, but longer than I imagined it would be. So we still got his Shambara adventure and his other days past thingy. So we'll see if those two end up being in the same video for the next episode or not. Hope to see you there to find out, or in some of my other videos. And I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye bye everybody.